Hi, my name's Eilish Manzoni and I'm an improvement facilitator within the quality team at Sheffield Health and Social Care Trust. I'm going to talk to you about one of the quality improvement tools we use to unpick a problem called a fishbone. What this presentation is going to cover: what actually is a fishbone diagram, why do we use them, when should you use one, how do you actually create a fishbone diagram, what do you need, what are the steps, and then finally some handy tips. So what is a fishbone diagram? It's actually a cause and effect diagram that helps you to think through the causes of a problem, including the possible root causes, which then structures and groups them appropriately to help you move forward. It's a visual way of showing the potential causes of a problem, and it's called a fishbone simply because it looks a bit like the skeleton of a fish. Why do we use fishbone diagrams? Well, firstly, as I said before, it's really helpful to visualise the possible causes of a problem. Fishbones can be used to try and help determine why a particular problem is happening. They can help to facilitate deeper thinking about possible causation, helping to tease out all the possible causes, not just the most obvious ones. Helps to group possible causes into categories, and by putting things into categories, it helps provide a structure to looking at where the problems are. It helps towards addressing the problem, helping the team to decide where to begin with the process of improvement. It's a way of gathering together a snapshot of everyone's collective knowledge, and also enable those involved to gain a shared insight into the problem, seeing it from other people's points of view. And it helps to discover the root causes before you start thinking of solutions. You want to use a fishbone diagram when you've identified that there's an issue or problem which has various causes that you need to work on, or there are processes that don't work as well as they could. You can use a fishbone diagram when you need different viewpoints at looking at a problem. It's important to have different members of the team from all different disciplines, as well as service users and carers, as each will bring their own ideas and experiences about what they feel is important and contributing to the problem. You should use a fishbone diagram before you start thinking about making changes, to identify what the causes are before making the assumption that you know all the causes and which ones you want to address. So how do you actually create a fishbone diagram? What do you need? So firstly, you'll need the right people involved. So that's representatives from all disciplines within your team. Are there other staff involved from outside your team? Have you thought about the service user carer perspective? Time. You're going to need dedicated time to properly look at what could be causing the problem. You need to have time booked in everyone's diaries. Equipment. Well, equipment-wise, you don't need much. Everyone needs their own pen, some flip chart paper, or a whiteboard and some post-it notes. If you're doing this online, you'll need a Word document open and shared with the group. With all of these pieces in place, you'll be able to start addressing the problem. So you've got everyone together, but how do you actually create a fishbone diagram? What do you do? Here you can see a template fishbone. Firstly, you need to clarify the result or the effect, that's the head of the fish. Then you want to start thinking about the causal factors. Why is the problem happening? You may want to have a brainstorming session and then group the causes into some major categories, or you may be able to identify some of those major factors first. You often find that the major categories start to emerge naturally as you start brainstorming the possible causes. These are the main bones of the fish. Some general major categories that you might want to think about are people, equipment, material and processes. Then coming off the major categories will be the smaller causes, the small fish bones. So I keep saying to brainstorm, but what is and how do you brainstorm? I'm only going to do a quick slide on this, so it's another tool within itself. But if you'd like to know more detail around brainstorming, please don't hesitate to contact the QI team. Our contact details will be at the end of this presentation. So brainstorming is just a way of collecting ideas. There's the traditional all call out method, where everyone calls out their ideas and the nominated notekeeper writes up the ideas onto the fishbone. Or you can have silent brainstorming. So this is where you'll give everyone some post-it notes and then some time to think about what the possible causes are. Each person writes their causes onto individual post-it notes, and then after the silent phase is over, taking it in turns, each person can come up and add their post-it note to the fishbone diagram. Obviously, if you're online, people will still need the time to think individually, but then they'll need to read out their ideas for the notekeeper to type onto the document. So we've seen the template fishbone, but let's have a look at an example. If you're working on the problem of long waiting times, you'll put this to the right, the head of the fish. Then draw an arrow across the page, the backbone of the fish. If you've agreed some major categories, add these to the diagram, the bones of the fish. Then brainstorm all the possible causes. After After the brainstorming session, you will need to add the possible causes under the right category, slowly building it up until all the ideas of the possible causes have been added to the diagram. So, not enough treatment rooms, add that to the environment. Missed appointments, add that to the people category. Transport arrives early, add that to methods. Poor maintenance, under equipment. Targets, under methods, and so on, until you've completed the whole diagram. If there are any that don't fit under the major categories, you may need to add a new category. This is what it looks like if you've created the fishbone online. At this point, it's a good idea to step back and have a look at the diagram as a whole, which should now show you all the possible causes of the problem. Are they grouped together correctly? Should some move? Has everything been covered? Then it's a good idea to share the diagram with others who are not present for comments, and amend if necessary. Here's an example of a fishbone created using the brainstorm method. Each post-it contains a different possible cause, and you can see that they are grouped into categories. You can either just take a photo of this fishbone you've created and share with the group, or you can type it up so it looks more like the one on the previous slide. Once you've completed your fishbone and feel like you've unpicked the problem, it will allow discussion about what you can work on. Having all the causes visually grouped together can help you focus on what you might want to work on first. There might be lots more causes than you initially realised, and you may be able to identify some quick wins that you can work on quickly. So to summarise, a fishbone is a tool to start to understand causes impacting on a problem you want to improve. The process of developing it helps people to think deeper into the problem. It's a really good way of providing a visual record and helping to focus people on where to start improvements, and it's a way of the whole team being able to contribute. Some handy tips in creating your fishbone diagram. Get everyone involved and engaged in agreeing the problem statement at the start. It's really important to have representation from across the team, as everyone will bring different ideas and experiences about what they feel is important and contributing to the problem. Ideally, causes should only appear in one category, but don't worry too much if they cross over. Encourage no criticism of any ideas that come forward and try to include all the suggestions of possible causes. Encourage no discussion during the quiet brainstorming stage to allow everyone time to think without distractions or influence from other members of the group. Thanks for listening, and I hope you found this short guide helpful. If you'd like to know more about fishbones or any of the other tools that we use in quality improvement and how they can help you make improvements, please get in touch via our team email address, qiteam@shhc.nhs.uk.